We are here with another episode of Before You Buy. As usual, it's me, Jake Baldino, giving you some straight-up gameplay and our thoughts on the latest games releasing. And today I'm talking about Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle. Or is it Mario plus Rabbids? Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle? I don't care. Two things right off the bat. Number one, how does this game actually exist? Nintendo is working with Ubisoft, and that's something I never thought I would say out loud. Look, this might sound kind of silly, but whether you like the game or not, this is a pretty historic thing for Nintendo. Is it the beginning of the end, or is it the start of a new era? I mean, I know Mario has teamed up with Sonic for the Olympics games and stuff, but this one feels different. But thankfully, my second thing is an even bigger surprise. Number two, this game actually turned out good. Surprisingly good. While it's probably clearly not for every gamer, there's a lot to have fun with, and a good mix of pick up and play, and a decent challenge. But let's get into it. In this weird opening cutscene, there's like a Burger King Kids Club Kid Vid guy-esque person that is making cool technology, but then the Rabbids show up and then get mixed up in this weird device that transforms and transports things, kind of like in The Fly, and a Mario poster from the bedroom flies in and they all get sucked up together, and I don't really know what was going on, but that's how you end up with Rabbids and Mario and his friends all in the same game in a weird world. And so let me acknowledge this first. This is a game I never thought I would want. I definitely didn't ask for it. Rabbids are fine, I guess, but it all just kind of felt weird and forced. But after playing, I could say this is a pretty lovingly made game with respect paid to how Mario and his friends are actually handled. Yeah, I mean, he's taking cover and shooting weird laser cannons and stuff, but otherwise, he's the Mario you know and love. He doesn't really do anything out of character. He's Mario as you know him. And, you know, while the game and the genre and Mario seem kind of like an abomination here, once you actually start playing it, it feels like Mario doing anything else he does, racing go-karts, playing soccer or tennis or whatever. He works in those situations, and he definitely works here too. You probably heard Kingdom Battle compared to XCOM as like an XCOM for kids, and that's honestly pretty accurate. It's nice to have a turn-based strategy to have some levity and humor to it. It does do a lot of weird and interesting things too. It's based around moving around the map and taking cover and outmaneuvering and defeating your enemies. But there's a huge emphasis on movement here, and characters are able to dash or slide attack while moving past an enemy and then run back into cover, counting as movement, not actually your official attack, meaning that turns can actually last a bit longer than you'd expect. With games like this, and especially here, positioning is key because enemies will be out in the open or half behind cover, which gives them like 50% of a chance of a hit, or fully being protected, but sometimes the cover is destructible or explosive too. You could chain movements and have your grid of movement increase by getting these jump assists with another character, like Luigi, for example, can chain 2 jumps off of allies to get like crazy distance on a map and go behind enemy lines. Spending coins and stuff, which I'll get to later on, and unlocking different weapons allows you to get different critical hits, like freezing an enemy in place with honey, or slowing them down, or a couple of other things, but with eventually having multiple movement options, special attacks like a damage buff or a shield, and a primary and secondary weapon like weird grenades, there's a lot of options and a lot of ways to tackle things. You're also able to unlock different abilities, like Mario, for example, gets an Overwatch from XCOM type of ability. The way it goes, you pick and choose your team that always has to have Mario in it. Once I unlocked more Mario-themed characters, I immediately wanted to replace the Rabbids with them just because I know Mario, I don't really get the Rabbid thing. But after going deep enough, you'll realize that the Rabbids have just as many unique abilities, like the Yoshi Rabbid is a total powerhouse, but for me, you can't beat Luigi's range as a sniper. I can't even believe I'm saying Luigi is a sniper. But there's nice little touches, like for example, Luigi himself, his weapon is actually a vacuum cleaner like Luigi's Mansion. Enemy types are spread out pretty nicely. You play through the entire game and keep stumbling upon new ones, and they have a lot of variation from like average guys to range to super maneuverable to like specters that can phase through objects, and then the unstoppable heavies. Plus, with environmental stuff going on like chain chomps that attack within turns when you get too close, it really all ends up like your strategy never usually pans out like you planned from beginning to end. It's a very reactive turn-based game, and it turns out to be one that if you don't take it seriously, you will get got. The objectives vary from a bunch of different stuff like taking out all the enemies, racing through to the other end of the map and surviving, a couple others, but escort missions that, in my personal opinion, I totally hated, just a heads up. There's a nice bit of challenge that I didn't expect, but I really enjoy, but it also makes me think this game eventually isn't so great for younger kids because it does get pretty difficult, but there is a very easy to access easy mode, I guess, if you want it. Most of the dialogue, too, is very much geared towards kids. Keep that in mind. I had a few laughs at some physical gags, but most of the dialogue was kind of just whatever. Along with the strategic battles, though, you're navigating your characters around the world, collecting coins to spend later, and find secret paths with items and loot and stuff. This exploration stuff is mostly passive, but not totally boring, thanks to mini puzzles and finding Rabbids doing weird, goofy things and little things like that. Worlds are laid out like Mario games, actually, as in like 1-1, 1-3, etc. And it all starts with a happy forest world and progresses into your usual stuff like ice and fire worlds, desert worlds, lava worlds, a spooky world, stuff like that. But it's all a weird blend of Rabbids, Mario Mario style and real world stuff feeling more like a messed up Toy Story world than anything. The game has solid mid-boss and full bosses too. After beating a boss at the end of a world, you usually get like a new ability allowing you to find and access new areas while you're exploring, encouraging a little backtracking and just adding a bit more stuff to do while you're not just battling. I will say though, while it is engaging enough at first, it dulls and it gets dry eventually. About halfway through, it'll all mostly feel like fodder to most. I eventually found myself saying like, okay, this is fine busy work, but I just want to get to the battles. It's all fine, but it's just there. And at any time, you can go back to the Mushroom Kingdom, which stands as sort of like a hub world, and here you can view collectible items you found in a museum, unlock upgrades from a skill tree, and buy better weapons with all the coins you find. There's a good amount of progression to chew on that feels satisfying and makes me feel like I'm making my characters better, and that's a win for me. After you beat a world, there's also these trials you can engage in that add like new parameters and challenges if you want to play more and earn more. It's fun, and it's nice to have. I do want to point something out that once again, we have a performance problem with the game's frame rate suffering while playing on TV mode on the Switch. Handheld mode seems totally fine, just like with a bit more muted colors, but playing on a TV, the game's frame rate like really chugs. I only noticed it for the first 2 worlds, and then it doesn't seem to be an issue with the later ones, but it's still worth pointing out, especially if stuff like that bothers you. The game looks very nice and colorful and sharp, and it's still playable, but just be aware. Also, since we're talking about this stuff, the music is really damn good, like borderline incredible. Almost too good for this game, if I'm honest. But despite a few flaws, this game is still an absolute surprise. It's really fun, and good for handheld plays and like quick spurts, like if you're on the subway and you gotta stop and start a lot. Like I've been saying though, it's not for everyone. I mean, come on, some people aren't gonna wanna play XCOM for babies, but if you like Nintendo and you love Mario and Luigi, I wouldn't write this one off immediately, guys. But that's how I'm feeling on Mario Rabbids Kingdom Battle thingy, whatever. I want to know how you guys feel about this. If you're a Switch owner, how are you thinking about this one? Do you think it's worth $60? It's lengthy enough, but you can really do a lot with the different difficulties and exploration and mileage and a little bit of Joy-Con multiplayer stuff that I think you can get some decent mileage out of it, but I want to know what you're thinking. And if maybe you're just not a Nintendo fan, how do you feel about them working with Ubisoft? Is this something you want to see more? Do you like this different angle? And for the people that say like Nintendo really never tries new things, do you think this is a new enough thing for them to try? Let's talk about anything Mario and Rabbids down in the comments below. Let me know what you like better, Mario or Rabbids. I am going to judge you on that, but if you do have any other questions or comments or concerns, hit me up down in the comments. I'll be down there as much as I can, but I'm also on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Jake Baldino. You guys know the deal. Thanks for coming around and clicking the like button. We got a ton of Before You Buys coming out this week, so we do appreciate it. You should subscribe if you haven't already because we put out stuff every single day. But as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.